Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more Legacy action. Today, at the request of a donor, we are revisiting Merfolk. I played Merfolk on the channel quite recently with my new build, as all the new stuff came out, and it felt really good. We didn't get quite as many match wins as I would have liked, but we were really competitive into top decks, which is something that I haven't experienced with Merfolk for a long time. So we're revisiting here, changing up some of the bits and pieces we have going to try and make it a little bit more streamlined and more powerful. One of the main changes is we've gone up on 1-drops, so we've got our 8 2-power creatures. This Wanderbrine Trapper was excellent for just tapping down stuff and keeping their scary Barragoyf or Murktide Regent from killing us. That was wonderful. And this is just a 1-mana 2/2, which is kind of what we want because we are a pressure deck. But we've added in some Cursecatcher. This doesn't attack as well as the other two, but it's still going to grow with all of our lords, and we'll get to those in a minute. But this also just allows us to sacrifice it for a Force Spike, so it can help us against some of the combo matchups and just give us another line of defense against them as well. So I think just having this spread of 11 1-drops will mean that we're pretty much guaranteed to get a 1-drop every single game, which is what we really want to be doing. And then we go up to our 2-drop slot where we have a Lord, we have another Lord, we've got a Lord, another Lord, and also another Lord. That's right, we're playing many Lords. So this is the 1/1 Lord that we have, but it gives other Merfolk not just increased power and toughness, but allows us to sacrifice Merfolk to then Force Spike non-creature spells. So this gives us another line of defense against some combo decks. Then we have the two sort of classic ones here, so Master of Pearl Trident and Lord of Atlantis. These pump our other Merfolk by +1/+1 and give our other Merfolk Island Walk. They don't give themselves Island Walk, which is important to remember. We have Deepchannel Duelist. This is another Lord, but it allows us to untap one of our Merfolk. So it's kind of like pseudo-vigilance on one of our guys, so we can play Sword and Shield with a big creature. And we have this one, which is just a Lord, so this is the weakest of the Lords. But having 20 Lords means that we have an incredible amount of redundancy in our deck, that we can just pump out a bunch of Lords whenever we want. Then we've got our 4 Force of Wills. We've gone up to 4. We had 3 before. I just wanted a little bit more. And some of the more sort of weird and wonderful cards we were trying out, we ended up binning off. And then we just sort of streamlined it into this, so it allows us to play the other Force of Will. We've got ourselves a 1-of True-Name Nemesis as a 3-drop. This can block Barragoyfs all day long and not care. And if we've got this plus the Deepchannel Duelist, that is really difficult for our opponent because we get to attack and block every turn. We then have a couple of champions of the Shoal, because sometimes they're going to have flying creatures like Murktide Regent that might be able to race us. So this just allows us to tap down that one big scary threat. So we've got a couple of these in there. Our mana base, we've also changed that a little bit. We've added in more fetch land mana so that we're going to find it a little bit easier to get hold of our Tundra in the post-war games. We need to cast our Swords to Plowshares. That's the main difference here. As for the sideboard, we've still got the Plows in here. We've got 1 champion of the Shoal. So if we're in a creature matchup, we've got 4 things that we can bring in to answer creatures, and we have 3 True-Name Nemesis. These will be really useful in control matchups where any spot removal is just going to be useless against them, and we can just slowly beat them down with them. And then we've got some more threats for control decks as well, in terms of Kopala, which is going to make our creatures harder to target. And then we've got some anti-combo pieces. We have a full set of Force of Negation, and then a couple of Grafdigger's cages for the graveyard decks. And that is what we're playing today. I think this looks pretty streamlined compared to where we were last time. We did a bit of experimenting, and I think we're in a pretty good place. I don't think this is going to be the final build of Merfolk by any stretch of the imagination, but we're going to be a lot further along than we were last time. So, let's get stuck into it. Remember to like and subscribe, and let's just jam with some scary fish.
The new year is here, and what better time to clear out your unwanted cards than now? My lovely sponsors 3for1 Trading are buying all Magic cards and collections of any size. They will quickly appraise your collection and give you a fast, non-binding ballpark figure so you know what you're working with right away. They buy collections from anywhere in the world. You can ship them cards, arrange a courier, and they even make in-person visits for large collections to offer full peace of mind. Click the link in the description or visit 3for1.gg/sell-COW to start unloading your unwanted cards today.
On the play, we have 1-drop into some 2-drops. We're going to keep this. You can also start playing on Cavern of Souls right from the off. Do I like to get the Trapper in or the Cursecatcher? That's kind of an interesting question. The Trapper comes into its own a little bit later on, but the extra point of power is relevant here. See how our opponent mulligans. They're pondering their opening hand quite a bit. They've mulliganed to 6. I think we're just safest if we play the Cursecatcher. So we're just going to play a little bit more cautiously than we could. We're missing out on 1 point of damage, and that's fine. This might end up being a thing that can jam our opponent's combo up or something. Thundering Falls. Are we looking at Delver or are we looking at Show and Tell? I think Show and Tell is going to be an awkward one until we go to the post-war games. We could just play 2 more of these guys. I don't think they're going to try and combo off next turn. Tap for 1. But they could. It's possible. They left a card on top. So I could have another Force Spike that they're not expecting. I think I'm just going to hold back on that instead of playing out these other guys. And just get an additional Force Spike that our opponent is not prepared for if they're going for some sort of show and tell line. Also, I love the art on Cursecatcher. Just a nice, simple, creepy looking fish, man. I really enjoyed the original Lorwyn and Shadowmoor sets a great deal. So any chance to play those cards, even if they are Merfolk, is worth doing for me. Let's see if they are doing Delvery stuff or not. Okay, so this looks like show and tell type shenanigans. A Ponder, that's fine. We can flash in this Hexcatcher and then play 2 more Force Spikes. And their counter magic to protect is... Okay, they're just scooping it up, but they showed us enough that we know what they're doing. Maybe the Cursecatcher was too strong. Oh, I should have screenshotted that with just the Cursecatcher versus all. Okay. I believe we're playing against show and tell. So I would like to have access to these so we can just try and counter their spells. Now, there is a slight issue in terms of our opponent having the land that's like Cavern of Souls for spells, but that is quite a slow card. And maybe we can be okay. This is something we can put in off of their show and tell. If they're just show and telling in a creature, this can be pretty good. I don't think this is one we need the True-Name Nemesis. It might have another champions as an option. I think we probably just end up getting rid of like the weakest lord here and just have access to these Force of Negations. That seems reasonable to me. But yeah, this answers Emrakul and Atraxa quite nicely. And if they show and tell, we don't have to pay the additional cost either. It just comes in and does its job. Force of Will, some 1-drop creatures. This seems fine. I wonder if they're boarding in Pyroclasms or something against us. They might have some sort of sweeper effect. But we've got a nice little Marshal of the Pearl Trident to rely upon for our Force of Will. I guess we should probably pitch the Lord of Atlantis for the Force of Will when we get the chance. Because this hits all Merfolk. This hits just our Merfolk. So this one is technically better. Not that I'm expecting a lot of the old Merfolk mirrors anytime soon. I will keep this hand. They're already down to 6. Volcanic Island, you got it. Which creature do we play? Probably the Trapper, because if they do put something in, we might be able to deal with it. So I guess we go for the Countryside first. Although, do we have to worry about potential Blood Moons from our opponents? We can't really get a basic of this, though. I think we're just going to go for this Trapper right now. Because we don't get to cast any of our 1-drops off of an island here. So I think we just want to get this in. Brainstorm. Fear the Wanderbrine Trapper. Wanderbrine, sorry. Wow. Okay. I think we screenshot this one. Because that was very funny. Just Wanderbrine Trapper, too strong. Okay, let's go to round number 2. Our hand has 1-drop into a 2-drop. We are a little bit land heavy, but we're on the draw. So we're probably going to find some more gas. I'll keep this one. I wonder if we need to play the Trapper or the Cursecatcher first. And there's a Bloodstained Mire. Are we getting reanimated right now? Unlikely. Okay, just a Tamiyo. Just a horrible, annoying Tamiyo. This is going to be possible. Okay, the Bauble suggests they're doing something a little bit fairer or something very unfair. Which I imagine we're probably looking at some sort of blue-black tempo list would be my guess. We're going to go Cavern of Souls. Name Merfolk. I think I'm going to play the Trapper here. It is a little bit exposed to a potential Orcish Bowmaster, but we just have to cross that bridge when we come to it. Our opponent is likely to have something like a couple of Toxic Deluge in their sideboard. So they're using the Bauble here to help flip the Tamiyo, because this means that they can go draw a card from the Bauble, then they can attack with the Tamiyo, crack the clue, and then including their draw step, that is 3 draws, and they get to flip their Tamiyo. Just indexing harder on the broken card makes a lot of sense, to be honest. And this is also going to fuel Delirium and Revolt. So you're going to be able to get your Barragoyf and your Nethergoyf hitting for more. You're also going to be able to get a little bit more out of your... Oh, okay. Our opponent's doing something very different over here. I was going to just about start talking about fatal pushes and stuff, but no, we're doing Architects of Will. I don't know what that means. A Wasteland. Not a fan of that for us. We are just in the... Okay, our opponent resolved a turn 1 Planeswalker. How do we get through this mode? Let's go for Merfolk here. They're stuck on mana, so I kind of want to play this Cursecatcher. We also need to get more power down to deal with this Tamiyo. And this also... I would like to keep the Lord, so the Cursecatcher probably gets fed to the Force of Will. Although this doesn't seem like it's going to be a Force of Will matchup. Although I don't know, because what is Architects of Will doing in our opponent's deck? Our opponent's cooking with something over there. Hopefully we get to see it and then also beat it. A Thoughtseize. They can take my Lord. Sure. But we still have a Force of Will if we need it. And our deck has got 20 Lords in it. So the chance of us finding another one seemed relatively high. That's basically what our deck does. Like a third of our deck is Lords. And we should have had 3 Lords by now since we're like 9 cards in. A Fatal Push on some guy. They've got 3 cards in hand. Do I want to send this into... I think we do need to send this into a Daze. Keep our creatures alive. Oh, it worked. That was a surprise. Okay, a Lord off the top, and then I think we're doing okay. Not a Lord. We don't have any Surveil lands. We're just going to attack this Tamiyo and wash it out. I will play out... I think it's just the Tundra here. And then we'll go for an uncounterable 2-drop. This means we can actually start putting damage on the Tamiyo. If they play a creature, it gets a little bit awkward because we basically have to use 2 creatures to tap down their creature. And then we're not really doing very much to Tamiyo. But if they're just cracking a clue, that's not a big display of strength. If we can find a Lord, then we can wipe the Tamiyo easily and sort of move on with life. They might have Snuff Outs in their deck. So they might be saving a Snuff Out for a Lord if we can find one. We get to actually put some damage on the Tamiyo properly this time. Instead of just washing it out. Lord, please. Where are the Lords in our deck today? I do hate that we just have to keep attacking Tamiyo here. But the BNR update is soon. Maybe this won't be for much longer. I'm going to play out this Polluted Delta and pass. We don't have like cantrips in our deck because all of our deck is the same thing. It's just beefy fish. A Thoughtseize. Yeah, we got him. Enjoy your 2 damage there, opponent, and knowing that we have nothing. Moonshadow. Yeah, this makes sense with things like Architects of Will and the Bauble. But we're very good into like a creature. Like our whole deck is kind of built this way. I think we're going to crack this now. Just thin our deck slightly. Go and get this basic island. And they can't waste us off of this. That's a pretty bad draw. Am I okay jamming these into this guy? Because this is a 2-2. We can tap this down and hit this for 1. Do I think they can put another permanent into the graveyard and get this going? Possibly. Oh, I hate this for us. Okay, we'll play this Tundra, and then we're just going to tap this down next turn. Like, this game would have been... Like, if this was pretty much any other Legacy-powered card, I think this game would have been over by now. But the problem is, Tamiyo is a little bit too much for us to handle. Or anyone to handle, really. It's quite an obnoxious little card. They're going to crack this and maybe get Surveil land. I suspect they have 2 Surveil lands if they're playing Moonshadow. It just makes sense to get more ways of fueling your graveyard. No? Okay, they only have the 1. It's good information to have. Yep, Tamiyo goes up to 6. If we draw a Lord that gives Island Walk, then we can just kill the Tamiyo straight out next turn. Okay, they didn't attack. Let's tap this down. Okay, a Hexcatcher. Let's go to attacks. Attack everything at Tamiyo. Flash in a Lord. This will hopefully kill the Tamiyo. Yes, okay, we kill the Tamiyo. They get to grow their Moonshadow, but we are the one with a whole load of pressure right now. The 4 spikes from the Hexcatcher are unlikely to be very useful right now. They got Brainstorm. They're just cycling Architects of Will, and you got it. Our opponent's list is cool. I like what I'm seeing over here. I think there's a lot of ways you can do stuff with Moonshadow. I'm still not entirely convinced it's as useful as something like a Nethergoyf. You can really index into it and build a deck around it, but is that as good as just having like a really efficient guy that's going to be like a 3 power guy when you draw it? I'm not going to sack my board to stop a Brainstorm, but we have 2 tappers, so stopping this guy shouldn't be too much of an issue. And we can just outclock it. And we have a 2-turn clock if we just want to turn things sideways, and our opponent at best is going to have a 3-turn clock. Now they can play something like a Murktide Regent, which changes things. All right, there's a Nethergoyf. See, look, this is just a 5-6 already. They didn't have to do anything really with it apart from play the game. A second Nethergoyf. Don't like that very much. So now the Moonshadow is coming in. Yep. Let's go to our turn. Let's see what we're up to over here. We can tap 2 guys down. We can also play a Lord of Atlantis. This is 4, 8, 12. This is just lethal, right? 4, 8, 12, 13, 14. Yeah. Get in with the fish. They've got no cards in hand. So enjoy. Okay. Our opponent's got a huge amount of power there, but they just can't overcome the fish. So, a creature matchup. Source to Plowshares looks good. True-Name Nemesis looks good here. Champion of the Shoal probably looks good. There's an argument I could see for playing the Kopala, but I'm not 100% convinced. I don't want forces in this matchup. Should we just take out the weakest Lord? We don't have to take all of them out. We could... Yeah, we just take 3 of them out. There you go. And then we've got ourselves a playset of True Names, a bunch of champions, and some swords. So that when the game goes a bit longer, we've got it going. Sweet. I think this seems fine to me. So the Architects of Will is probably just a way of cycling for Delirium and pumping their Moonshadow, which is fine. I don't think they're going to be able to answer a True-Name Nemesis very easily, though. I would like to have some lands, so let's mulligan this one. We have some lands and some lords. That's pretty much our deck, isn't it? I don't think we want all of these. I think we're probably going to get rid of... This gets us white, so we get rid of the Speaker here. So we go Cursecatcher into Duelist, or Cursecatcher into Lord. I think it's probably the Duelist is the one we want first, because this is white mana, and we might not have that much use for white mana. So we have to get a white mana to get this, but if this gets wasted and we play the blue one, then we draw a blue land and we just cast a Lord. That's not going to feel as good. So we could draw Trops or we could draw Basic Island. So by playing the Duelist, I think that ends up better for us. Now they might take the Duelist. They could take the Cursecatcher to stop us having lots of Force Spikes if that's something they're worried about. But I think they just play around the Force Spikes. True-Name Nemesis, absolute banger in this matchup. Let's go. Cursecatcher. Can my opponent deal with a deck just full of creatures? Days in a Cursecatcher. Where's the world coming to? So now we are sort of on the play because we're going to be ahead in terms of our mana development. So that should be pretty good for us to get some threats in. Are we seeing a Moonshadow or something yet? Just a little Nethergoyf. Nethergoyf is 3 power already. Tamiyo. Sure, this was the thing that nearly won them the game last time. We had to contend with this thing the entire game. Do I think they have another Days? Possibly. Just cast this Duelist. They probably have Orcish Bowmaster, so I kind of want to get this in before the Cursecatcher now. Would like to draw a Cavern of Souls and just get an uncountable True-Name Nemesis. Now our opponent might have Toxic Deluge, which does kill the True-Name. Okay, we get to play this annoying game with Tamiyo yet again. Snuffing out our guy. Sure. So we don't really have any pressure on the Tamiyo just yet. A Nethergoyf, 3/4 creature. I would quite like to draw a Cavern of Souls. Did not draw a Cavern of Souls. I will just play this guy. Yep, I think our opponent is probably going to win this one. They answered. They had 1, 2, 3, 4 answers in a row, and also a 1-mana Planeswalker. That is a lot for us to overcome here. It's a lot for anyone to overcome, to be honest. They're growing their Nethergoyf again. So this is the situation where if you draw a Moonshadow, it's really bad. Whereas any other Nethergoyf you draw is like really good. Now they're running them as additional copies of Nethergoyf, which makes a little bit more sense than just having them and then building your deck entirely around them. Okay, Cavern of Souls. Let's play this. We'll name Merfolk, please. Blue, blue, and 1. Let's have a True-Name Nemesis. I will choose my opponent. So we don't take damage from the Nethergoyf off of this. If we can find a land, we can play this Champions uncountably and just tap down the Nethergoyf and start getting a little bit of damage in this Tamiyo and washing it out. And maybe we can get enough damage to actually answer it soon. Okay, you can get another clue off your Tamiyo. You haven't cracked the previous one just yet, but we're going to enter that phase of the game soon. Land is good. Land is good. Here we go. Let's crack this. Probably going to get another Tundra here. Just to make sure we can cast Swords to Plowshares when the time comes. Just trying to play around Wastelands ahead of time. We bought out a lot of our green stuff. Alright, let's deal with your Nethergoyf. This gets to attack every turn and just keep their board at bay. Also, it can just block the Nethergoyf with its body anyway. Say no to the Nethergoyf. And then we're in the let's just tickle this Tamiyo several turns in a row. If we can find a Lord, it gives us more pressure into the Tamiyo. Tamiyo. So we have to play this sub-game of can we stop the Tamiyo from ultimating before we can actually play the real game. Right, you can crack that clue. So we're kind of priced in to keep attacking this Tamiyo at this stage. A Fatal Push will answer this Champions, if they have one. They can minus the Tamiyo and get the Snuff out, but then the Tamiyo is minused, and then we kill it with the True-Name Nemesis. And the real thing we're scared of right now is Tamiyo. I guess they could just minus this, snuff out this. We spend a whole turn attacking the Tamiyo. then they just flip this other Tamiyo. And then we're just back in the same problem again. A Moon Shadow. Sure. It's a 1-mana 1/1. It doesn't grow from clues either. It has to be permanent cards that go into the graveyard. It can't be tokens. Back to Brainstorm. That is a choice, isn't it? Because this is a mandatory flip. Okay, they're going to do it on the next turn, I guess. Interesting. Abundant Countryside. Not a very exciting one for us here. I will attack Tamiyo with this. Oh, no. This one comes in at Tamiyo. This one comes in at our opponent. And then I will put a stun counter on this Nethergoyf. They lose a Tamiyo, but it already saved them I don't know how much life. And also got them some extra cards as well. We'll play as Abundant Countryside. We might be getting towards making 1/1 colourless shapeshifters soon. Not a mode I've particularly used on this card though. Here is a Brainstorm. They're flipping it in our end step. And now we're back to playing this ridiculous game of trying to beat their Tamiyo again. Right, they're plotting the Tamiyo, so we're back to playing these little games again. Are they getting in with the Moon Shadow? Because we can tap it down anyway, if we want to. Okay. So we have enough damage to kill a Tamiyo, provided this connects. I hope the hand is just like Force of Wills, so they never get to leverage. A bunch of dazes or something. Another Moon Shadow. Sure. And another Tamiyo. Opponent, could you please not? I have a family. How much damage you got here? So 3, 4, 5. Not quite at killing our opponent if we draw a Lord mode. Let's go to attacks. But if we hit our opponent for 2 and send this in at our opponent, we can hit our opponent for 5 if they don't block this. And then they're dead on the crackback next turn. Alright, we're going to take a turn off of this Tamiyo and go... Oh no. We're going to take a turn off and just go after their face here. Another Nethergoyf tap down. Getting a bit of a race going. This is half our opponent's life total. Okay, they're just going to put the Tamiyo under the bus. Sure. It grows both their Moon Shadows. But this is why we can't just keep going after the Tamiyo. Play as Eclipsed Realms. We'll name Merfolk. This is 6 to activate, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're not able to activate this yet, but if we draw a land, we at least get a chump blocker that can't hit a menace creature. We could then tap down one of the menace creatures and then chump block the Nethergoyf instead. If we draw a Lord, our opponent is dead if they don't have any way of interacting with our creatures. Our deck obviously has more Lords than you can shake a stick at. Alright, we're just coming in for 5 here. So they're quite likely to be able to kill us on the crackback next turn. So we need a little something here. Our opponent's got 4 cards and 2 mana. Another Abundant Countryside. Well, I guess we're going to make the play we spoke about just now. I shouldn't have played this pre-combat. Giving our opponent that information is awkward. So this goes at them. This goes at them. I will tap down their biggest Moon Shadow because we can make a chump blocker for the Nethergoyf. That is the plan here. Now, if they have no way of growing a Moon Shadow, then this play is wrong, but the chance of them being able to grow a Moon Shadow seem quite high. So this will put our opponent to 2. An Orcish Bowmasters. So we block this. We take 2, 3, 4. So this is probably going in as a chump block, I would guess. Another Bowmasters is certainly not where we want to be here, though. So this is going to be 3 damage now, 4 damage. So if they can find themselves a permanent to put in the graveyard, then we are toasted here. Can they bring back anything here? They can just, like, presumably brainstorm and find a fetch land. Right, Architects of Will, that does it here, right? So we block this, we take 5 exactly. Maybe our opponent misses it. It's very unlikely they missed their lethal attack here. Hang everything sideways. Yep. Okay, that would have been a very easy game to win if this was basically any other card in Legacy. Good old Tamiyo, ruining Legacy. Let's have a look at our sideboard in. I think this is fine. I think we're just going to go in again. We did have a lot of turns where we could have just drawn, like, you know, a Lord, and it would have been fine as well. So even that through the Tamiyo, we could have won if we'd have got a little bit more fortunate. We got some 1-drop action here. Sure, I'll keep this. I kind of need to draw a little bit of land here. Here's the Trapper. I'm saving this Tundra because this is a land that can actually cast our Source to Plowshares. Just something we need to kind of be aware of as we're playing this game. How do you feel about this 1 mana, 2/1? It's Savannah Lions plus, basically. Cracking a fetch land. It's a Moon Shadow. You got it, opponent. True-Name Nemesis. Am I playing around a daze here? Or am I just trying to shove in this Hexcatcher? We kind of want to test their interaction anyway, because we're trying to resolve 3-drops soon. So I will just bash in with the Trapper and see if they want to block here. Catch some hexes. They might have boarded out a lot of their counter magic. Alright, we got 2 for 1 out of it. Oh, a Tamiyo went away. Cool. That's the best card in your deck, opponent. I'm glad that you're getting rid of it, but it probably means you've got another one. There's a Mishra's Bauble. They're just going to play the Tamiyo. And then Bauble. Nope. Okay. They're just going in for damage with this Moon Shadow. I think just in a straight damage race, we're going to win most matchups because all of our damage is multiplicative because we're playing so many Lords. Obviously, we have no Lords in our hand right now, but still. I don't want our opponent to play a Wasteland, which I've probably just spoken into existence. That's probably worst case scenario. Architects of Will being cycled. Yep. Oh, this is a Netherglyph. It would be bigger, even though they're doing all the stuff to try and make this work. Just important to note. Master of the Pearl Trident. Can I have a Master of the Pearl Trident? Right, days. Sure. Go to attacks. In we come. Now our opponent's creature is probably going to outscale ours soon. But if we can stick a couple of true names or get this champions down, we can just stop this from being a thing that we care about. We can also draw Swords to Plowshares and then have a Wanderbrine Trapper and Swords to Plowshares cast in the same turn, which is pretty good. A Hexcatcher. Let's go to attacks. We got another daze. We're just trying to clear the days out of the way so we can just stick some true names because they're just not going to be able to handle those. Also, when our opponent's got so few lands, having 4 spikes is pretty good. Right, felt pushing my guy. Okay. So they're going to put us to 11 here. If we can just find some mana sources and maybe get like a champions down, we'll be okay. A Wasteland is not what we wanted to see here. Oh, wow. I'm kind of surprised they're even doing that instead of just Wastelanding us. Because we've been missing land dots for 2 turns. I would just Wasteland, grow the Moon Shadow and get stuck in. I don't think the Hexcatcher is what you need to be worried about there, opponent. Abundant Countryside. Let's play this. True name down. The second true name means that we can just check the Moon Shadow indefinitely. And they're going to have to find another threat. What are we doing here? An Architects of Will. Are they running that instead of Ponder? Have we seen a Ponder yet from our opponent? I don't know. Another Wasteland. Okay. Going to be one of those days, is it? Okay, goodbye. First Wasteland. I assume they're going to take out the other Abundant Countryside if they went after that. Okay, so this leaves us able to draw a Swords to Plowshares and just run this game through pretty well from there. Yep, Menace is a strong ability, but this is a 2-turn clock. Cavern of Souls. Play this, name Merfolk. Deploy the Trapper. So we're now in the we have to double block stage. But if we double block, find a land, play a second true name, that's okay, although they squeeze through 2 damage here. And then they can squeeze 2 damage through again, which gives them the ability to kill us with a Bowmaster at any point they draw. Okay. We're just a little bit late on the lands here. Alright, that's unfortunately the end of that one. Now that game, we got run over a little bit, unfortunately. We didn't quite manage to get the lands we want. The double Wasteland was a bit savage as well. I think I'd be relatively happy playing this one. I think the real one is the game we lost just to Tamiyo nonsense. That was the sort of the actual problem for us. I think this was one of those games where certain draws, this game just spins the other way in our favour. Whereas Tamiyo is just a little bit too much. Unfortunately, we've taken a loss. Let's go to round number 3. What does our hand do? We play a guy into another guy. That's what our deck does, isn't it? Our opponent plays generally in the ballpark of fairer stuff, but they make content, so they make all sorts of different decks. But generally speaking, they're more in your sort of tempo-y ballpark, but they obviously play a lot of Blue-Bat Reanimator. They tend to sort of gravitate towards the best deck. I will keep this, and I guess we're going to start with a Tropical Island, getting our little friend out. Our opponent's just playing Island. It's a Tamiyo. Cool. I think I'm just going to go and get the Tropical Island here. This way it plays around Orcish Bowmasters a bit better. If we're playing out 2-1, that could be a little bit awkward for us. Always happy to see a Cavern of Souls. Hopefully we can find one. So we're going to get Eclipsed. So Tamiyo's been worth 1 card already. Now what? Brainstorming, we're just going to town with it. We are, okay. Cool. So we can play a Lord, maybe crack in for 2 damage against the Tamiyo, and we're just, again, playing that horrible sub-game of Our opponent's turn 1 cantrip is also preventing our creatures from dealing damage every turn and doing all sorts of stuff. Okay. Swords of Plowshares is pretty telegraphed here. It could just be a fail push. Guess we go and fetch ourselves up another tropical island here. Does it matter which one we play? These ones are going to be harder for us to... Like, these ones are just objectively worse than the other ones. So I guess we're just going to start out with the Lord of Atlantis for now. And this is going to walk into a removal spell. Here it comes. Now is our opponent playing blue-black? They're more likely to be playing blue-black. Okay, no, they are on blue-white. So this is probably like a Felia deck as well. Okay, they're hitting the Lord, which means we do get 1 damage in on this Tamiyo. So if they minus it to get the swords back, they at least lose the Tamiyo. But it's already bought them some life and a card. The card is waiting underneath this clue. But it's there for when they need it in the mid to late game. Yep, Tamiyo goes upstairs again. And we continue this whole little song and dance. 2 mana up. This looks like Felia mana to me. If we play this Lord, they can't have a Felia and a removal spell for the Lord. Again, we're just stuck under this subgame of Tamiyo. Okay, it's just the same as last turn. We did miss the land drop last turn though, so there's something going for us at least. And if they're spending turns removing stuff, they're not getting the Source Splash. Obviously, they are actually increasing the overall loyalty on this Tamiyo. Okay, so we're on Jeskai then. So probably not a Felia deck. Probably just like Jeskai control. A Murktide region, you got it. So all this time we've wasted having to attack this Tamiyo is damage that we've lost to make it harder for us to race. It's just very frustrating. Okay, I guess we play this one out. Green and blue. We can't attack now. We don't have any white mana to get the Wanderbrine Trapper in and start dealing with this Murktide, but we have this other problem with this Tamiyo to deal with first. They probably don't even attack here, they just hold back and make sure that the Tamiyo gets to ultimate, because then it's just game over. Yeah, our opponent's just protecting the Queen. We attack, we get through a tiny amount of damage. I guess we can play another Lord. We have to attack the Tamiyo because we can't win if they draw half their deck. Force of Will, so they can block here, and then, yeah, we're just done here, aren't we? Cool, another miserable game brought to you by Tamiyo Seasoned Scholar. Yikes. Okay, so this looks like a control Jeskai sort of deck, so I would like to have access to things they can't interact with. I would like to have things that make it harder for them to interact with us as well. So these are the things I'm most interested in. We've been off these Force of Wills, and we just get rid of a couple of, like, just get rid of one of the worst Lords. And this seems fine. Do I want the champions? These are okay at tapping down the Murktide Regents, if our opponent pivots to that. Do I want a third one? 3 seems like an awful lot. I think we're just going to try and race them and keep it like this. Okay, we'll keep this. It's got a Cavern. We don't have a 1-drop, but I can live with that. Let's play this Eclipsed Realms, and we'll name Merfolk. We don't have the 1-drop, but we do have uncounterable guys, which is a nice place to be. Are we just going to get rolled over by Tamiyo again, though? Our opponent might have some back to basics technology, but seems unlikely. Okay, so it is just a turn 1 Tamiyo again. Merfolk. Lord of Atlantis, here you come. We need to get the creatures with the higher power and toughness in so that we can actually challenge a Tamiyo. In comes a Tamiyo. The first clue is assembled. Yep, we're once again doing the brainstorm thing and flipping the Tamiyo, so we get to play this fun little sub-game once again. I think we're actually remarkably close to having like one of the best legacy formats we've had for a long time, actually. There's just a couple of little outliers that are causing a little bit of issue, in my opinion. And this is offender number 1. Preordain. Okay, you don't see a lot of preordains these days. Am I getting more Lords in, or are we just going to slam down this True-Name? I think we slam down the True-Name here. Let's get 1 damage in this Tamiyo. Don't know if we've shown them white mana yet. We can try and keep that secret for now. Here comes the True-Name. Remember when this was like one of the scary cards in Legacy that people hated seeing? How the times have changed. This goes up to 5. So we're going to have to attack both creatures still at a Tamiyo to try and wipe it. Unless we can get 2 Lords and have them resolve and stick around. A Plateau. I don't think back to basics is in our future, at least. A prismatic ending on our poor little Lord of Atlantis. Cavern of Souls. Boom. Merfolk. Let's cast this one first, because then we can use it to protect the Lord of Atlantis if we want to. If our opponent has a sweeper and they get us, then there's not really much we can do about that. Swords to Plowshare in this. Sure, I'm not going to sacrifice it. Take the 1 life. Now they're using all this spot removal. It's unlikely they have sweeper. So next turn we can finally answer this Tamiyo. Hopefully. And then we can move on with our life and actually start playing the game for real instead of the sub game. If they can kill this Lord, we're going to need to find another Lord to get this true name going. Doing enough damage to this Tamiyo. Is it Murktide Regent time? It is Murktide Regent time. Thunder Trap Trainer. Getting to dig a little bit. Again, if this was like any normal card instead of a Tamiyo, our opponent would be down at quite a low life total, be able to easily race and get this game won. It's just this one card is like holding back everything. So this doesn't have Island Walk. That's fun for us, isn't it? So we're going to crack in at the Tamiyo for 3. So we can kill it next turn in theory. We are flooding out a little bit. Here comes the Trapper. This can answer the Murktide if we're worried about our own life total. I'll play this fetch land and pass. Make our opponent think about the Vodalian Hexcatcher. A Swords to Plowshares on my Trapper. Yep. And another Tamiyo to back up this one. Are we having fun yet, team? Okay, we'll take 7. This is interesting. Again, we have to attack. Do we even have to attack Tamiyo here? If we attack Tamiyo, it's just going to go... They're just going to replace it because they've already assembled the next one anyway. We're just back in this horrible situation that we were in once before. We just need to try and race them now because the Tamiyo's done enough. Right, let's play another guy out. This one can protect our creatures from further removal spells. We played this post-combat so that they wouldn't just immediately blow up the Lord of Atlantis in response. We know they've got a Brainstorm. They could fish, no pun intended, for some more Swords to Plowshare action if they really want to do that now and try and suit the Lord. They could just hold a Swords to Plowshares, pay the iron price for it, kill our guy in combat and then blow us out. But I don't really think we have a lot of choices anymore. Try and win through this Tamiyo by drawing Lord after Lord. 3, 4... So let's say we draw a Lord. This is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 damage. Okay, they're losing their Tamiyo to get back a Swords to Plowshares. They'd probably fire it off onto the Lord of Atlantis. Wouldn't mind drawing the old Murktide Regent. Sorry, the champions for the Murktide Regent, sorry. So they're going to Brainstorm and flip this Tamiyo again, I would assume, and then have 4 mana. Is it 4 mana they need? No, 3 mana they need for their Swords to Plowshares to kill our Lord of Atlantis. I don't think we want to crack this fetch because it does actually change the clock. Although the Tamiyo can just go get back the Brainstorm anyway. We need to draw champions basically now. Actually, yeah, we have to exile one of our guys in play because you can still do that for the champions. Alright. I feel pretty bad about this one. Now, you would kind of hope that some sort of Jeskai control deck would be pretty good into like a deck that just wants to keep jamming creatures on the board. But it's the fact that it's not really the cards they're playing, it's just this one card that's the issue. Are we thinning our deck for the slightly higher percentage chance? Maybe our opponent doesn't minus the Tamiyo, we get something going. Okay, a duelist is interesting. So white and blue. Get this guy down. So we know they have a Swords to Plowshares. So this can minus and go and get the Brainstorm. So this will kill us next turn. And our opponent is certainly someone who's going to see that line. Which means we have to play around it. This has to come in at our opponent. Sorry, at the Tamiyo actually. And then this comes at them. If they Swords to Plowshares are Deepchannel Duelist, then we have enough life to survive the Murktide anyway. True-Name should be able to wipe the Tamiyo this turn at least. It's going to be the Plow, presumably on... I guess they take the Lord of Atlantis and then the Tamiyo does get to live here. But again, we need to be putting enough damage into our opponent that we can race this Murktide. So untap our True-Name. So what? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So even if we draw a Lord, we don't have enough to kill them next turn. Again, we got the draw of the champions, which can deal with the Murktide, but they don't get to get back a thing, kill us with the Murktide. Because they could have just taken the damage minus the Tamiyo, not Swords to Plowshares and had lethal. So we had to make that attack to survive. And I know our opponent's going to see that line. Thunder Trap Trainer. What fresh hell are we going to experience now? They could have the 5 mana, sorry, the 3 mana 5 damage one, although that's not going to work through the Kopala. Flame of Anil, that's what it's called. They can just draw some cards with it though. So they're going to hit us down for a lot this turn. We need to draw the champions to deal with this. Considering they have 2/1/2 creatures, I still don't think we can crack this Polluted Delta. Champions or bust? Not champions, it was a land. So this is just going to kill us next turn. Alright, we are done here. Yeah, we just got sorted out by Tamiyo twice. Unfortunate. I would have liked to have played against like a control deck. If they didn't have a Tamiyo, it'd be interesting to see how we fared. Because I think we're pretty good into this sort of deck. If they don't have this card that just runs the whole game, they would have something else instead that would do a lot of work still, but not as much work as this. Because this probably saved them over 20 life over the course of this game, which is ridiculous. Alright, let's go to round number 4. Okay, this hand seems reasonable enough. Can we avoid the dreaded Tamiyo? Let's find out. I think to give us a little bit more game against potential combo decks, I'm going to play this Cursecatcher since you don't have a force in hand. Dark Ritual. Well, I think we have to hit this with our Cursecatcher. Force of Will, please? Not a Force of Will. Let's go and get ourselves a Tundra. And doesn't matter which one we deploy. Probably the Vigilance one makes slightly more sense. And we'll pass. Not sure how much time we bought ourselves, but maybe enough. If they're doing reanimation stuff, we can hopefully start beating down. Takanuma. Oh, we're just playing like fair stuff. Okay. It's alright with me. Master of the Pearl Trident, please. Blue, blue. Like, if our opponent just wants to play guys and race us, they're not going to win that race. They're going to need to interact with our creatures a lot, or do something really busted. Wasteland. That is some interaction that's going to do some work against us. Now, we can still cast the Wanderbrine Trapper, which is why we got the Tundra, so if we did get Wastelanded, we could always cast the other card in our hand. If we draw a land, we can just play another guy. We don't want to see a removal spell follow up. But we're still quite far ahead on this race. If we get to connect this turn, then I'll feel real good about it. A Force of Will. Okay, we're attacking. 6 damages, please. Orcish Bowmasters. They can put everything into one of our guys. Nah, we're just going to say no to this. Just keep the heat on. Play another guy out. Our opponent's going to be at a very low life total if we connect with all these guys next turn. Possibly dead if we can draw a land and deploy a Lord. Shot will untap this guy. We also now having the Trapper means that we can deal with a Baragoyf. If that's what they play here to try and stabilise the board. It means we have to take a turn off of attacking. But that's fine. Rather they just didn't play a Baragoyf. That would be even better though. I hope their Surveil land is an Undercity Sewers in their mono black deck. Are you doing anything with this? Yeah, they're attacking. They don't want to hold up for the Force of Will. There is an option to hold this back. Use the Force of Will that's in our exile. Land? Not a land. Alright, I think we're still coming in. If they Bowmasters again, it's fine. If they Opposition Agent, they can trade. If they Fatal Push, whatever. Okay, it's an Opposition Agent. Sure, what are you going to trade with here? Is it a Trapper or a Lord? It's the untapped Lord, sure. We still deal a bunch of damage. Alright, we Dark Ritualing over here. What have you got that you want to ritual out so badly? Is it Shoulder It? Fell the Profane. Okay. Land to let us play our guy would be nice if they don't have anything else here. Do they hold back this Douthie so they can Force of Will our Lord? Possibly. What are they getting back here? One of our Lords? Or a land? Playing a Lord, because this can at least block, is the logic there. Missing on land again is certainly annoying. We missed on land before in a previous game, but we also got flooded in another game, so it's just the ebbs and flows. We're not playing all the cantrips and stuff that you normally see in blue decks because we're just trying to assemble bodies, which means that we are more likely to get hit by the variants that those things can provide. Sure, you can attack me with your guy. It has pseudo-vigilance, so it makes a lot of sense to keep sending it in. Come on, deck. Come on, deck. We've got nothing but Lord of Atlantis. I'm doing something at my end step by the looks of it. An Opposition Agent. Yeah, that's pretty good. Do I trade my Trapper for an Oppo Agent? Like, we're not winning this game without a land. If we get a land, we've just got so much power that's probably fine. Bounty Voidwalker. Yeah, we definitely have to trade off here. Just that one coming in. I don't think we can afford to keep taking damage. Come on, deck. Land. Come on, deck. We've missed on so many draws. 2 lands in quarter of our deck. We should have had, like, 5 lands in that time. Ugh. Like, this game, if one of these was a land, we would have won by now. Him to Turak, we're probably going to discard some Lords. We did discard some Lords. They just got a 2-turn clock here. Next time we play a guy, we block here, then we take 3. Okay, I think we're just dead now because our deck failed us. Yeah, we'll scoop this one up. I don't think our opponent can lose it from there. Oh, that was really upsetting, to be honest. That game was so easy for us to win if we just hit a land. Okay, what would I like here? Creature stuff, please. So let's have these in. True-Name Nemesis champions. Maybe these as well. I think we get rid of the weakest Lord. And then I don't think we get all of these in. Maybe we don't need this Kopala. Am I worried about being able to cast a 4-drop though? Possibly. Because they are a wasteland deck. And they've got hymns and stuff which can take lands out of our hand as well. There's just 3 4-drops in our 60-card deck. I think that'll be fine. Then we'll keep it like this. Maybe you want to go up to 23 lands, or maybe you want to start running some lands that have like other utility. So that it's kind of like half land, half spell. 2 Lords and a removal spell. And we're not going to get wastelanded. I will actually take that. I'll play this Misty Rainforest and pass. We don't want him to Turak this and take our only white source that can cast Swords of Plowshares. Probably getting Thoughtseize on 1. Would you board out Thoughtseize in this matchup? Like, you're trading 1 for 1 with a 2-drop most of the time. It's probably fine, but then it's going to be a bad draw later on. A Dark Ritual into a Barragoyf. You got it. I think we know what's going to happen to poor little Barragoyf. No thank you. Nice little 2 for 1 there. A Lord of Atlantis. Let's play this one out and get our little vigilance guy down. Because then we can attack and block if they play like a smaller creature. Wasteland, if you want to play that game, that's fine by me. We kept a hand specifically to avoid getting blown out by wastelands. Let's play a Cursecatcher. And then I'm going to hold up this. I'm just going to play this Lord of Atlantis. I'm just going to play the Lord of Atlantis, aren't I? They didn't use the Wasteland, which kind of suggests they might have another Barragoyf. Draw a Champions and tap it down. You can draw a True Name and ignore it forever. You can draw a Swords to Plowshares. That's a lot of draws. Emperor of Bones. That's pretty medium here. I'm going to exile my Deepchannel Duelist, I would assume. Abundant Countryside. Let's go to attacks and see if we can blow our opponent out. Say hello to my little friend. Take 6. I'll play this Abundant Countryside. Oh, they played the one that gives them an island. No blocking for you anymore, opponent. I guess they can wasteland their own thing and try and blow us out in blocks. That is an option they're allowed to attempt. Do they just go after our graveyard here? No, they didn't take anything. Sure. They can adapt this if they want to. We didn't draw another Lord. Shameful. They all have Island Walk. If they wasteland this, they can block here and trade, but that seems horrible to get onto 1 land. You're facing that much damage. So I'm just going to send in the team. What am I doing? The Lord of Atlantis. They can just trade into this, can't they? They're going to adapt this. I made this mistake last time where I forgot that this doesn't get Island Walk. No, it was just a horrible attack again. Just goes away at end of turn, right? Yeah. Yep, that was a really bad attack. Let's play this out. Represent Hardcast Force of War, that we've got it. We should have just tapped with the 2 guys. We've got a Dark Ritual. Is this going to be like a Fel the Profane or something? Toxic Deluge. Okay. So it didn't really matter that we attacked with our guy. Okay, that's something. Alright, would you like to pay an extra 1? We might as well make them use the mana so they can't play something else this turn. They're unlikely to pay for this because we don't have any guys. So yeah, we got screwed in game 1 against them, and now it looks like we're probably going to flood out here. But at least this doesn't get to bring back any other creatures. Kind of use that on blocks rather than attacks, so we can kind of work out how much damage you're taking quite effectively here. The Hexcatcher. I'll play out a land in case we can get hold of another one for Abundant Countryside. I don't really want to be playing a game where we're activating Abundant Countryside ever, though. But sometimes it unfortunately does happen. I think I've maybe made 1 of these in the last video. Big Daddy Barragoyf. Yep. So, we could play this Hexcatcher out now. However, if they have Snuff out and we play this, then we don't get to cast Champions. So I think we're going to hold this as our pitch thing for it, because that's what we're trying to draw here. A Lord of Atlantis. I will play a Lord of Atlantis out. 4 damage. This is 8. 9, 10, 11. So we'd be at 3 life. So they could just play what? Some kind of Daffy Voidwalker here. We've pretty much drawn 50-50 on spells and lands, which isn't really what you want. Okay, Daffy Voidwalker. Playing as pre-combat means that we have to block. What do I like to block with? Do I do anything with this? Probably not. Okay. So if we take 8 this turn, we go to 3. So next turn we play, let's say we draw the champion, we tap down this Daffy Voidwalker, we block this, we're still dead. That seems bad for us. I guess we block here. It seems like the game is going to be over for us. We draw a Lord of Atlantis. We only get blocked one thing. Yeah, we got mana screwed and then mana flooded. That first one was certainly more of an irritating one to lose because we were so easily winning that game and we just bricked off on lands. We had 2 lands in a quarter of our deck, I think it was, which is obviously quite unlikely. But that's what happens when you play a deck that doesn't have the smoothing effect of cantrips, which is why the cantrip decks always tend to rise to the top. Alright, we're going to the final round. After our great start, we're now looking at trying to get some pity points back. Okay, this hand seems fine. Let's just get our little friend in. We're probably going to lead off on the tropical island here. Just so this is a 2-2, in case that is relevant. I doubt this is going to get a Force of Will. That would be a very wild thing to Force of Will. Vault of Whispers. Okay, our opponent is up to no good. Duress. Well, we're going to lose our Force of Will here. Looks like a Beseech Storm combo deck. They played out the Petal to play around a Daze. I don't know if that means they're going to try and go off as well. Okay, it looks like they're trying to do something. Are we just going to get turn 1 comboed? Could be. Okay, this is enough for a Beseech line, and I think that just straight up wins. Oh, Wishclaw Talisman. That is not as good as a Beseech. Lion's Eye Diamond. Are we giving me the Talisman here? So this is lethal via Beseech, right? So they go and get the Beseech. Beseech gets rid of the Mox Opal. And then they get another Beseech that gets rid of this Vault of Whispers. And then they cast Tendrils for lethal. They can probably do a Guy's Will line if they really want to, just to make sure they have more Storm. But they have Potent Information. Alright, we got turn 1 with protection. It's going to happen sometimes. That is the nature of Legacy. Our opponent's deck isn't one that tends to combo off that early all the time, though. I would like some Force of Negation, please. And I think these Grafdigger's Cages do something at least. Let's get rid of these champions. I don't think we need True-Name Nemesis either. We just trim some of these guys. No lands. Let's mulligan this one. Okay, 2 Force of Wills isn't a bad start either. I'll keep this, and I guess we can keep 1 Abundant Countryside. And maybe we have the island for the speaker here. Let's go and get our tropical island. There's very few decks that would have been able to beat our opponent's draw last turn. If we'd had a Thoughtseize, I guess that would have been alright, but we're not really a Thoughtseize deck. Badlands. Lotus Petal, you got it. Duress. Sure, they can take 1 of them, but they can't take them both. We're not going to play us out because we would like to keep our blue card for our Force of Will. We can always just put our opponent to the test and just play the March of the Pearl Trident, because then that's a really nice bluff, because they just assume that we have drawn the blue card. So maybe it's correct to play that out there and call our opponent's bluff. Or make our opponent have to call our bluff. Okay. Just get stuck in with this one. Bash for 3. Play this out, name Merfolk, obviously, and move on. Why doesn't this Merfolk have a job? He's just a Merfolk. Most creatures have jobs these days, like Merfolk Shaman or whatever. Alright, we've got some Surveil action going. They like the card that they found. I'm not a fan of that for us. If they duress us and we hit another blue card, though, we're okay. If they are duressing and then passing the turn, that is. If they're duressing and going off. Alright, here comes a duress. Okay, they had 2 answers for our 2 answers. Do you have the combo now, or do I get another turn? Looks like they're going off. Is it deterministic, though? Chrome Mox. They're imprinting something and then casting Beseech. This is lethal with Beseech, if that's the last card in their hand. Are we Burning Wishing into Beseech? No, we're doing a peer through depths line. So they're going to draw half of their library. I wish people would stop trying to draw half their library against me today. So this is a Gaia's Will line, I think. So then they can go Petal, Mox. Actually, the Mox doesn't do anything, but they can still cast it for Storm and for sacrificing purposes. The Dark Ritual plus the Lion's Eye Diamond gives them the Beseech the Mirror if they play the Crow Mox out as their sack. They didn't go for the Peer Through Depths, Peer into the Abyss, whatever it's called. They just have gone for this pretty clean line here. Yeah, turn 3 double protection is going to be the end of us, I'm afraid. Yep, so they're just going to get the Tendrils, put in our dome, and we unfortunately do not win that one. We had a really rough league this time around, which is unfortunate. We did feel relatively competitive a lot of the time. Like one of the rounds we lost because we got mana screwed, then mana flooded. And then 2 of the rounds we lost to Tamiyo. And it was still close, which was something. And then the last one we just got turn 1 and turn 3 with double protection, which, is going to happen to a lot of decks. If we were a Thoughtseize deck, we could deal with it. But there's lots of decks that aren't Thoughtseize decks that are good decks in the meta and would lose to that hand. And that's just the sort of way things are sometimes. I had some other options how to help out that matchup if we wanted to as well. So let's talk about the deck. So I still think this deck has got some real juice to it. It didn't work out so well today, but a lot of that was just down to Tamiyo being really obnoxious and overpowered because we just couldn't push our way through it. It should have been banned 6 months ago, to be fair, but I'm not going to rant about that. When a card like that is around, it does make things quite difficult for what we're trying to do here. In terms of the last matchup we lost against the Storm deck, what you could easily do here is put some Deafening Silence in the sideboard. We're already playing some white cards. We could just put some of those in, maybe instead of some of these Force of Negations. And then that Deafening Silence is just going to finish our opponent pretty early doors. So that's definitely another line you can take to help out here. I like the True-Name Nemesis quite a lot. Maybe we need more mana in our deck for doing this, but like I said, the mana is really awkward because we don't have a way of filtering our draws, and we don't really have lands that do other stuff because we're trying to play 3 colours. Now there is an argument of getting rid of the green stuff, so maybe we get rid of the Speaker and the Mistbinder, and we just go straight up blue-white Merfolk. That makes it way easier to cast all of our other spells, and then we also get access to that, reliable sideboard changing, matchup changing sideboard cards. So we could try a build without, but that means our 1-drops are going to be the Trapper and the Cursecatcher, which is okay. So that's probably going to be the next iteration of Merfolk, where we just cut the green entirely, smooth out our mana base a little bit, and then go from there. So what would that get us? That would get us 4 slots here and 3 slots here, because one of them is going to be another Cursecatcher. So that gives us 7 more cards that we can play with in the main deck. So that probably gets us a Meticulous Archive that we can rely on. So that's going to be handy. And then we also get maybe some more True-Name Nemesis in the deck because they felt pretty solid. Maybe we have some sort of card advantage option. You can play the 2 mana 2/1 Merfolk that draws you a card when it enters. The problem with that card, in my opinion, is the 1 toughness. We do need laws to make it better, right? Otherwise, it's not really a viable body without lords in play. And then also, when are we going to want to be playing that for 2 mana instead of a lord? It's going to be the last card out of our hand. So we may as well play a more expensive, higher payoff card that we're playing after we've played out of all of our lords instead of that. That's kind of my thoughts on the topic. I don't think we're getting ready to try and run the 4 mana recruiter guy. Although goblins do it, so maybe we could try it. I can't remember what its other abilities are. I don't think it has anything useful. At least the recruiter for goblins has haste, so it's like a body that can do something to turn you play it. Whereas a 4 mana, I think it maybe gains flying for 2 mana or something really weak. So I don't think that's the one. Okay, yeah, I've put it up. So this is 4 mana for a 1/2. You can pay 4 mana to give it flying. When it enters, reveal the top 4 cards of your library, put all Merfolk into your hand. This is not where we want to be. There's other options like Emperor Mikhail, which is a 3 mana 3/3 that allows you to play Merfolk from the top of your library, and whenever you cast a Merfolk spell, you can pay 1 and get a 1/1 Merfolk. That might be a better card advantage option. Also, being a 3/3 body at base is relevant too, because then it's going to be quite large by the time it comes down. It's usually coming down as a 4/4 in that case. And then we can kind of stretch our curve out a little bit by running some different 3-drops. Although it's very hard to play 3-drops and not just put the true names in, and then it also frees up some space from the sideboard too. I think the deck is solid. I would very much like to live in a world that doesn't have a Tamiyo. I just think that is so backbreaking for so many decks. Turn 1, playing Tamiyo. Turn 2, flipping the Tamiyo.
and then it soaked up, like, in one round, I think it soaked up 20 damage, as well as drawing them additional cards. And it's just like, what are we supposed to do about that? Like, we could try and play some, like, prismatic endings, but if we're cutting the extra colour, maybe that's just not really worth doing anymore. The fact that we wanted to play Cursecatcher in the blind ahead of other 1-drops probably means that we're okay running 4 Cursecatcher and 4 Wanderbrine Trapper as our only 1-drops. I think we can probably deal with that. Maybe we'll get another, like, 2-power Merfolk at 1 mana at some point. We can only dream. But yeah, I think there is definitely a realistic Merfolk deck that can be out there. Like, you know, we may have lost to, like, something that's kind of busted in the format that a lot of people have been calling to be banned for 6 months already, which is in Tamiyo. I don't think that's shameful to lose to that. And then losing to, like, double protection or double protection turn 3 combo or single protection turn 1 combo. Sure. Is there a way that we can mitigate the problem we had with mana? That is the other issue. If we're going to just 2 colours, can we afford any exciting lands in there? I don't really think so. Because we have, like, really intensive costs with these cards, we can't afford to play, like, a Mutavault, because then we just can't cast our spells. Yeah, you could play Mutavaults as extra lands, but because they're not helping us cast our spells, they're not really doing the giving our deck a higher land count side of things that you want a land to do. It's kind of just like this weird creature that takes up one of your land drops. It's kind of weird. So I don't think that's the way. But I'm going to keep tinkering with this. Maybe someone else will donate and see the next iteration of this, because I am enjoying having Merfolk and not feeling totally terrible playing them, which is something. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this one. Please remember to like and subscribe and check out my sponsors 3-for-1 Trading if you would like any of the cards to build a little Merfolk deck. Alright, take care of yourselves and goodbye.
If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths as well as 3 tiers of support. A low cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month as well as regular articles, and lastly the higher tier gives you all of the above as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.